Terraced fields are breathtaking landscapes high up in the mountains. The moment the sun rises from the sea of clouds, when the entire mountain is illuminated, the terraced fields reveal the most beautiful curves of the earth. And such a stunning moment is just a daily scene that unfolds among the terraces. For thousands of years, the agricultural wisdom of the Chinese people has taken terrace farming to its absolute peak, making China not only the country with the largest area of terraced fields in the world, but also the one with the most variety and the widest distribution. Why did we build so many terraced fields? And how have these terraced fields so profoundly influenced the lives of the Chinese people? Let's find the answers together. As early as the pre-Qin period, the ancient Chinese began to cultivate on the hilly slopes, carrying out agricultural production by the Han Dynasty, along with improvements in agricultural technology and tools, especially the popularization of the plow ox. On the slopes of the Loess Plateau and the Sichuan Basin, our ancestors used farming tools to build ridges and irrigation channels, gradually transforming the slopes into level platforms. And thus, the terraced fields were born. Afterward, for a very long time, the population in the north continuously migrated south. Because there was less flat land in the south, they had no choice but to head into the mountains and treat the mountains as their fields. It is for this very reason that terraced fields began to flourish in the south. This is Wuyuan, once part of ancient Huizhou. Over 1,000 years ago, large numbers of northern migrants moved here. What they saw were towering mountains and lofty ridges and rugged mountain paths. To survive here, carving out terraced fields was practically their only option. But in an era without engineering machinery, wanting to transform vast, sloping hillsides into level, step-by-step terraces was by no means an easy task. First, the ancient people would plant a few rounds of crops on these slopes. Crops that are easy to grow come with several stages of hard work in the process. The soil on the hillside is tilled bit by bit, transforming from steep to gradually level. After several years, or even decades of cultivation, the sloping land gradually becomes a series of terraces. And after several generations, or even dozens of generations of cultivation, the area of the terraces expands, becoming terraced fields that cover the mountainsides. During this process, the mountain soil also gradually loosens, becoming arable land suitable for growing grain crops. At the same time, to ensure the loose soil isn't washed away by rain, people also build embankments on the plots of land and constantly compact them with their feet or heavy objects, even coating the inner side of the embankment with clay for reinforcement. But long-term planting presents another problem. The nutrients in the soil are gradually depleted, making long-term cultivation unsustainable. But the people of Wuyuan found a solution. In Wuyuan, a crop of rapeseed is planted every year before the rice. The sea of flowers formed by these rapeseed plants is not only the most beautiful scenery here in spring, but also the key to the long-term sustainability of the terraced fields. The key to the long-term sustainability of the fields. In a few more weeks, the seeds from these rapeseed plants will be collected and pressed into rapeseed oil. The rest of the plant is then left in the fields, becoming the best fertilizer for the terraces. In this way, for thousands of years, our ancestors developed vast areas of terraced fields in the south. In Jiangxi, the Hakka people in the mountains carved out the Shangbao terraces, covering an area of more than 20,000 mu. In Zhejiang, through the joint efforts of the Xi and Han peoples, they created the winding and meandering Yunhe terraces with as many as 700 levels. They are like magnificent landscape scrolls, transforming land that was originally unsuitable for planting into ideal homelands, nurturing one generation of Chinese people after another. But this is not the full story of China's terraced fields. In the mountainous regions of the southwest, The terraced fields rise up in a truly spectacular fashion, creating a kingdom of terraces unlike any other in the world. Here, the terraces aren't just part of the mountains. They are the mountains themselves. In China's southwestern region, the mountainous areas are vast, and the terrain is incredibly complex. To take root and survive in this land, the art of terrace farming was pushed to its absolute limit over 1,000 years ago. A tribe migrated here from the northwest. Amidst competition with other ethnic groups, they chose to settle high up in the mountains, eventually becoming the Han people of today. In Yunnan Province's Hong Prefecture, across the counties of Yuanyang, Lechun, Honghe, and Jinping, the Han people have, in total, carved at over 1 million mu of terraced fields. This is also the largest continuous area of terraced fields in the entire world. The terraces here can reach as many as 3,000 steps, with a vertical drop of over 2,000 meters, from the lowest terrace at the foot of the mountain to the highest one at the summit. The climb is almost equivalent to summiting Mount Hue, but for terraces so vast and so high. Where does the essential water for growing crops come from? The region where the Han terraces are located receives plenty of sunlight, leading to a high rate of water evaporation. For hundreds of years, the Han people have centered their lives around the terraces, building an ecosystem with four interconnected components: forests, villages, terraces, and rivers. This perfectly solved the problem of their water supply. At the high-altitude mountain summits, they preserved vast areas of forest. The water vapor that evaporates from the foot of the mountain meets the cold air up here, forming thick fog and precipitation. After these forests absorb the rainfall, they form streams that flow down the mountain. Below the forests are the Han villages, the homes where they have lived for centuries. So why did the Han people build their villages between the forests and the terraced fields? The reason is, as the stream water flows through here, it carries nutrients from the villages and forests. And these nutrients, in turn, become a natural fertilizer for the rice terraces. The terraces are built entirely according to the lay of the land, varying in size and water absorption needs. So how do they ensure that each terrace gets exactly the amount of water it requires? The Han people invented a structure just for this purpose. At the point of diversion, a stone slab with different sized notches is placed across the channel. These slabs divert water to different terraces, distributing it according to their actual needs. As the stream water flows down from the top, it passes through each terrace one by one, eventually converging into the river in the valley. The hot climate of the river valley then evaporates vast amounts of water, returning it as vapor to the forests and terraces. This four-part integrated system has not only ensured the Han people's sustainable use of nature for 1,000 years, it also reflects their unique wisdom in living in harmony with nature. In addition, fish and ducks are also raised in these terraces. They prey on pests, and their manure, in turn, becomes fertilizer for the fields. When the rice is ready for harvest, the fish and ducks are prepared as delicacies to celebrate the bountiful season. This is known as the rice-fish-duck symbiotic system. The Han people call the terraces their home, and the terraces, in turn, have shaped the Han's unique cultural identity. In 2013, the Hong Han rice terraces were successfully inscribed on the World Heritage List. It is also a globally important agricultural heritage system. Of course, it's not just the Han people. In the southwest region of China, terraces are also used by the Miao, Yidong, and Yao peoples, as well as the Zhuang and other ethnic minorities, as a commonly adopted survival strategy. And with the progress of the times throughout all of China, it also reflects their unique wisdom in living in harmony with nature. In addition, fish and ducks are also raised in these terraces. They prey on pests, and their manure, in turn, becomes fertilizer for the fields. When the rice is ready for harvest, they are prepared as delicacies, celebrating the arrival of the harvest. This is the rice and duck symbiotic system. The Hani people call the terraces their home, and the terraces, in turn, have shaped the Hani's unique cultural identity. In 2013, the Hong Hani rice terraces were successfully inscribed on the World Heritage List. It is also a globally important agricultural heritage system. Of course, it's not just the Hani people. In the southwest region of China, terraces are also used by the Miao, Yi, Dong, and Yao peoples, as well as the Zhuang and other ethnic minorities, as a commonly adopted survival strategy. And with the progress of the times, throughout all of China, the fate of terraced fields is also diverging. Today, many terraced fields are gradually fading from the stage of history for the sake of ecological protection, according to our country's relevant policies, on cultivated slopes steeper than 25 degrees that meet the criteria. The Returning Farmland to Forest and Grassland program is being implemented. Many terraced fields are beginning to be converted from farmland back into forests and grasslands. On the other hand, terraced fields, which originated in the north, are beginning to make a comeback there, taking on the mission of controlling soil and water erosion. In the north, due to a lack of vegetation, as soon as there is rainfall on the hillsides, it carries large amounts of silt and sand into the rivers. This not only causes severe soil and water erosion, but at the same time, it affects the property and safety of the people. If these slopes are converted into terraced fields, their level steps and ridges, layer by layer, can effectively reduce soil and water loss. At the same time, land that was originally unsuitable for cultivation is transformed back into fertile soil. In the northern mountains, the mountains are high and the slopes are steep. Thick rock and thin soil are the key characteristics here. The people living here have also adapted well to the local conditions, using stones quarried from deep within the mountains to build the ridges of the terraced fields. In the Loess Plateau region alone, there are more than 50 million mu of terraces like these. It's like another Great Wall. Throughout the entire northern region, terraced fields not only turn barren land into fertile soil, but also effectively reduce the amount of sediment entering the rivers. Since the founding of New China, the construction of terraces, combined with other control measures, has, in the Loess Plateau basin alone, reduced annual sediment discharge by about 500 million tons. If all this sediment were piled into a barrier 1 meter high and 1 meter wide, it would be long enough to circle the equator 8 times. In China, no project has ever been quite like the terraced fields. Countless people have been part of it through the long passage of time. Yet it continues to fulfill its purpose, just as it always has, bringing prosperity to the land and even to the future of this land. It was born between the mountains and rivers, an achievement of human wisdom, and ultimately became a new landscape in its own right. And it is this very scenery of terraces covering mountains like ladders to the clouds that silently tells generation after generation of people who come here that they stand in a nation of mountains. But the people here possess the power to reshape the very mountains and rivers. This series is jointly presented by Buick, its SUV family, and the Institute of Planet.